The other regalim, shalosh regalim, they only did it for Pesach.
They did it for the Pesach, but they also did it for the others. There's what they call Shiv'at Yemei Tashlumim. There is the 7 days of Tashlumim, of fulfillment of someone who didn't bring in their offerings. They do have an extended time. But this is a case where they all have asked, why should we be different? So Hashem answers. Hashem spoke to Moshe. Next page. Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, speak to the children of Israel, saying, if any man will become contaminated through a human corpse, or on a distant road, far away, whether you or your generations, he shall make the Pesach offering for Hashem in the 2nd month on the 14th day in the afternoon. Today, by the way, on this day, next Wednesday, custom is to actually eat matzah. Eat a little bit of matzah. To remember, the Rabbeim used to say that the lesson from this portion is in Yiddish, es is kemol nicht farfallen. It's never too late. Never say, I just can't anymore, I missed my chance. If you really want to do something, you'll find another opportunity. Very strong lesson. And it works for everything. A person says, so many years I've been far, I didn't eat kosher for tens of years, now suddenly I'm going to go kosher. A person could never say it's too late. There's always hope, there's always a chance, there's always a second chance. There's always a second chance. So you have that here. But my point tonight, or the point we'd like to share tonight, is think about this. They weren't asking for pleasures. They were not asking because they needed financial help from God. They didn't ask for a refuah shalema. They want to do a mitzvah. And God found it necessary to make this mitzvah. So you see what happens? People triggered that mitzvah. Because otherwise the Torah would not write it. People triggered that mitzvah by asking, why should we be left out? Think about this. You know what happens right before the redemption of the Jews of Egypt? Right before that, the verse reads, the Jewish people were, what's the word? Moaning? And you say, oi. What's the word? Moaning? Vaye'anchu b'nei Yisrael. And then it says, Vayizaku, they screamed to Hashem. And then it says God heard their cries. Torah could have said, okay, they were in exile, God saw it now necessary, they were there enough, God said, okay, enough of my children suffering, I'm going to take them out. That's not the way the Torah reads. Torah reads, they cried, they kvetched, they screamed, and Hashem listened. Apparently, Hashem wants us to scream when we need something, and that triggers the redemption, the call that we're asking for. So we see within the Torah itself, there is this element of asking Hashem, and only then does Hashem, in other words, Hashem is waiting for people to ask. Hashem is waiting, I need people to pray and ask for it. And you see that in the Chumash. You see that again several times. You see that, the daughters of Tzalafchad. They wanted a piece of land. And at first it wasn't portioned to them. They wanted part of Israel. These are daughters. And they said, why should we be left out? Our father had no sons. And then the laws came that the daughters get their share. But the Torah wants to say it was their daughters that asked. And only then did they get. So it's almost like sometimes a parent has something precious. They want the child to want to deserve it. If the child doesn't care about it, you don't want to give it. You want the child to ask for it, show you deserve it, show you really want it, and then I'm going to give it to you. Apparently, this is the story of redemption. Redemption also, God wills it that we should ask. And you see that in the Parsha. Now think about this. In this story of Pesach Sheni, it was only several individuals. By the way, you know what they were doing? They were carrying, according to this, they were carrying Yosef's coffin. Yosef, Joseph, he had made the brothers promise that whenever they're going to go out of Egypt, they should take his coffin, his bones, out and bring it to Israel. And it's a whole interesting story what happened, that Moshe Rabbeinu, everyone, all the Jews were busy taking the spoils of Egypt, get the gold, get the silver. And Moshe went to the water, the Nile River, because they had thrown him into the Nile River. There was one lady that lived from the time Joseph was alive until the time they left Egypt. Her name was Serach, the daughter of Asher. She lived a very long time. And she said, I remember they took Yosef's coffin and put it in the Nile River. So Moshe calls out to the Nile and says, Yosef, Yosef, it's come the time for us to fulfill your promise. If you show yourself to me, good. If not, then we're clean of your promise. Sure enough, Moshe's coffin floated upward. I'm sorry, Yosef's coffin floated upward, and they took it. And throughout the desert, 40 years, there were two coffins, there were two boxes, two aron. One had the luchos, and next to it, the luchos, the tablets, and next to it, there was a box that had the bones of Yosef. And people used to ask, why are there two aron? And it would be explained. This is the Ten Commandments, the tablets, and this is the bones of Yosef. So people would ask, why are these two next to each other? And they would be answered, this person kept this. There's Joseph, even being a viceroy in Egypt, kept the Torah. So that's the connection. In any case, let's finish this point. These people who were said we're tamei, they were holding his body, so they were tamei. They could not do the offering. That's one they said. So they came and they wanted to be part of it. Yes.
I was just wondering, do they know where those luchot are? Since they brought them to Israel?
Sure, those luchot were in the first temple, and it was only after the destruction of the first temple those luchos and the ark disappeared. There is discussion of what exactly happened to it. According to Maimonides, we mentioned this several times, that Maimonides writes, Rambam, that King Solomon, who built the first temple, already knew that one day it's going to be, enemies are going to come and want to destroy the temple. So with his clever wisdom, he created under the temple these tunnels and hidings, and he commanded the king that's going to be at the time of destruction, before the enemy comes, take the ark and put it into that hiding place. So that's where it is till today. Definitely according to that opinion. Some say it ended up in the Vatican, some say this or whatever, but that's clearly one of the opinions, that it's still, we know that it does exist today. We don't know where. Moshe's handiwork stays forever. It's not like anything else that gets rotten, but it's still intact. Moshe, the Aron.
Well, what about Yosef's bones? The Arabs.
Yosef's bones. What's so amazing is that they brought it to Shechem, and only 10 years ago, less 8 years ago, when there was a Antifada, there was an uprising and so on. So they burnt that area where Joseph's, just now, just not, and there was a Rabbi Lieberman who was killed at the time. He came to protest. They shot him. His father is a rabbi in Brooklyn, a Lieberman. But Yosef HaTzadik was buried in Shechem.
But Israel left that place because it was too hard to protect. So is it under the Arab hands right now?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure at this moment. I think it is under the Arabs. A Yid can't go there right now. Who has full control? I don't know.
Why was the bone? Why was he buried in